Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. I recently had a chance to sit down and talk with Mr. Sasaenia Paul Oluwabunmi. Sasha is a Christian professional who lives and works in Austria, Europe. We talked about his life's journey from a humble beginning in Ibadan, Nigeria, to now working as a country manager at the OPEC Fund in Europe. We talked about growth, mentorship, career high points, politics, and future aspirations. I'm sure you will enjoy the conversation. Please take a listen.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know.
He has a background in business development with a proven track record of successfully leading several multi-million-dollar projects in Bangladesh, China, Cote d'Ivoire, Egypt, El Salvador, Ghana. I can go on and on. Well, he currently works at the Organization for Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC Fund, as a country manager for several emerging markets, managing a portfolio of infrastructure investments worth about 500 million US dollars across multiple sectors in partnership with the World Bank, United Nations, the ADB, Saudi Fund, and many other funds. He's passionate about sustainability, business strategy, social impact, and most importantly, he is a child of God. Mr. Sasaenia Oluwabunmi, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Akin. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you.
Great. Let's get started with your journey. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey from Nigeria to where you currently are right now?
So, like you rightly said, I was born in Nigeria, born and bred in Nigeria. In fact, I'm a proper Ibadan boy. I was born in Lagos and then grew up in Ibadan. And my university education was at Obafemi Awolowo University in Ileife. Yes, so we call it Great Affair. So I studied electronic and electrical engineering there. But more importantly, that it was during that period of my life that I really delved into what service to God is. So I served with the Redeemed Christian Fellowship in Obafemi Awolowo University as a technical director in charge of sound and all that. So after my university education, my first degree, I got a job at Nestle in Nigeria. And while I was at Nestle, after my NYC, I applied for a couple of international scholarships. And I got a big break. That was my first big break, where I got selected by ExxonMobil for a fully funded scholarship in the United Kingdom and Cranfield University. About 5,000 people applied, and a whole lot of first-class degree or 2-1, and only 10 were selected after several stages, and I was one of them. And that really humbled me because I realized that it could only have been God. So I studied at Cranfield University in the United Kingdom, did my master's at Cranfield University. After my master's degree, I started working at GlaxoSmithKline as an automation and robotics engineer, but I didn't really enjoy what I was doing because I just realized I wanted to work more at the intersection of engineering with business development and infrastructure finance. So the role at OPEC Fund in Vienna came up, and I can still remember that day clearly. It was on the 14th of April 2015. I picked up my luggage, my bags, and I relocated to a different country where I did not speak the language. So I relocated to Austria, where the language is German, spoke no word of German. And 5 years on, God has been very faithful.
You have a very unique background. So you switched from electronics to business development and to infrastructure financing. Is that commonplace, and what are the requirements for someone who might be interested in doing something like that?
Well, it's not really common as aware, but one of the interesting things that having an engineering background or a science background or a tech or mathematics background gives you, it's the fact that it broadens your mind. So for me, I realized that what I learned in school, the theoretical aspect of it, compared to what I was doing in the practical, was different. So I graduated with a first class degree, for instance, in electronic and electrical engineering. And my first role at Nestle, I was one of the chief engineers in charge of the manufacturing plant and all that. But I was bored. I just didn't see that as what God wanted for me. And then after my master's degree in the United Kingdom, when I was working at GlaxoSmithKline in automation and robotics, I was similarly bored. I was bored in Nigeria doing technical stuff. I was bored in the UK doing technical stuff. So I realized that let me try something different. So I delved into project management, which is more of what I'm doing now, and then deeper into the world of finance. So back to your question, the requirement for someone that wants to do something like this, number one will be, if you have a technical background and you want to get into finance, the middle ground is project management, because you can combine your technical skills and have an understanding of finance, and then depending on the roles that you're looking at, MBA will be a very good option also. Yeah.
Good. So an MBA gives you that opportunity to moving from a purely technical field into something more, say, operational or management oriented.
Yes. An MBA gives you that option. In fact, business schools historically love engineers because they believe that engineers, or those that have a tech background, are very rugged, and they also believe that they have a breadth of experience to bring to bear. So most of the financial concepts that I'm learning at business school now. So I'm currently also studying for my executive MBA at Kellogg School of Management, Northwestern University, in collaboration with a school in Germany, via Water Belgium School of Management. And most of the complex financial skills that I'm learning also regarding financial modeling, it's not difficult. It's not that difficult coming from an engineering background, because you can program anyway. You can write codes in Excel. So the MBA gives you that opportunity to leverage on your background, even if it's tech or science, and then take that into marketing, take that into core finance, take that into private equity, take that into venture capital, or go back to engineering. Yeah, so I would highly recommend MBA. To be sincere, I wouldn't say it's going according to plan 100%. When I was young, or when I was younger, I'm still young, but when I was younger, I remembered we faced a lot of challenges when we were growing up. It's not a classical story that I don't want to talk about poverty and all that, because that's what everyone expects when you grow up in Africa. So I'm not going to talk about that. But I would just say in general terms, I faced a lot of challenges. And when I was growing up, I remember telling my parents that I would work internationally in different companies around the world. That was just the vision I had. But regarding the specifics, it was not according to plan at all. I never thought that I would ever live in Vienna, Austria. For instance, I knew Australia, I didn't know Austria, So I never thought about that. But at every step of the way, I feel I know that my steps have been guided by God, and also a passion to excel, and a passion to change, a passion to keep on moving. And what I'll tell you is you should never be stagnant. You have to keep on developing yourself, keep on pushing the boat further. Yeah. I've had a lot of them, but the guiding principle I have is the fact that it's all going to be okay. So there's this saying, two sayings actually. Number one is the fact that it's all going to be okay in the end. If it's not okay, then it's not the end. And then number two is when Steve Jobs said that you may not know how the dots of your life will connect by looking forward, but when you look backward, you see how to connect. So when I have setbacks when I have curveballs, what I do is I trust in God. I remembered when I relocated to the United Kingdom for my master's, I applied to study energy systems engineering. But then I did not do proper research. So I have an electronic and electrical background, but a master's in energy systems engineering was more of advanced chemical and advanced mechanical engineering. So I sat in the class the first day and I was looking at advanced heat transfer and fluid mechanics. And I was thinking, advanced? I never did heat transfer. Now I'm doing advanced. I started sweating. For the first 2 months, everything seemed like Greek. But I remember telling my friends that, you know what, I'm going to graduate with a distinction in my master's. And it seemed impossible. I was the only electrical engineer in the class. All my colleagues were mechanical engineers, chemical engineers. And, God did it. Of course, long hours of study and long hours of holding on to God's word. God did it. So that was a setback. And even then, the United Kingdom had cancelled a post-study visa. So I was applying for jobs, and a lot of my friends who were British Nigerians said it's almost impossible for you to get a job in the UK because once your studies are completed, this was 2015, once your studies are completed, you have just 4 months. And after 4 months, if you don't get a job, you go back to your country. But I said, I was a big boy in Nigeria. I cannot come here and not have a job. So I started applying. I went through a 6-stage interview process at GlaxoSmithKline, and I got the offer, and the company sponsored me, worked on my residence permit, worked on everything. And that could only have been God. And I've come to realize more that looking back now, all the paths connect, because when I relocated to Austria, I was asking God that why would you take me through such an intense interview in the United Kingdom, working in engineering? I'm now working in finance. But then I decided to apply for my chartered engineer status. So in the US, it's called the PE, professional engineer. In the UK, it's called CEng, chartered engineer. And I wouldn't have gotten the engineering chartership if I did not have an engineering background or worked in engineering. So I was able to get that, and I just realized that, wow, indeed, God had a plan for me. So when setbacks come, number one, don't fret. It's easier said than done. Number two, trust in the higher purpose, hold on to the word of God. And number three, even if everyone around you is saying that it's not possible, or you can't get a job, or you're an immigrant, blah, 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 you don't have to listen to them. Just hold on to what the vision is. Set the vision. Bible says that write the vision, make it plain, so that those who really can run with it. And that's what my life has been.
That's awesome. That's good. So hold on to your faith. Don't lose hope. Setbacks are sometimes tool in God's hands to actually propel you forward.
Yes, sir.
Great. So let's talk a little bit about a career and a calling. This is something many Christian professionals have to deal with. Some of us like our jobs. Some of us generally like our jobs, because we think we're making a difference and we have a chance to make a difference there. Yet, we still feel this sense of a higher calling, this sense that there might be something more, something bigger. And sometimes we're caught in this bind. How do you deal with having a successful career and still feeling this sense of a higher calling, a sense of maybe there's something more and something better that you could be putting your energy to?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. And for me, for instance, my parents, my dad, as you know, was a pastor in a church, and before then, he was working as a journalist. And I saw that my dad really enjoyed his career, but at a point in time, he retired and became a missionary. And I always joked and said, I'm not going to be a missionary anytime soon. But then I realized that when Christians are successful in their career, for instance, they can use that as an opportunity to preach the gospel. So in one of the jobs that I had in times past, I had an office mate who was struggling at work. And she always looked at me and said that, how come everything is working out for you? And now we all live in the developed world. You have to be careful. You can't shove your religion, or your thoughts, or your ideas down another person's throat. So I prayed to God for wisdom, and what I told her was that I believe in God. I said, "Oh, really? Tell me more about it." And I started. I started. And I told her that there's something called grace. There's something called favor, and in that way, I was able to lead her to Christ. And it was due to success in my career. Now, regarding the calling that most Christian professionals have, I believe that God has deposited something in each and every one of us. I know that God wants me to show forth His light in people's lives by using my life as an example, letting them understand that being a Christian doesn't mean that you should have a mediocre life in your career. Being a Christian doesn't mean that you shouldn't have the best of jobs. There are those that God has called to the divine treasurers. What that means is God is looking for those that is going to commit huge resources in their hands, because He knows that such people will distribute those resources into those that need it. So in my way, what I do is I mentor a lot of young people trying to study abroad. I read through their statement of purposes, their SOPs. I mentor them for interviews, and I have lots of testimonies in that regard. A lot of my mentees have won scholarships, Chevening scholarships, got PhD offers in the US and the UK, and I give it all the glory. And in my immediate community, what I do is also I serve in a church. I've been called to serve in the choir, so I sing, but then, apart from service, I know that my true calling is to leverage on what God has given me to achieve career-wise and show that as an example to young people that, you can know God, you can love God, you can still be excellent. You can know God, love God, you can still graduate a first-class degree. You can know God, love God, you can still have a master's degree. You can know God, love God, you can still have scholarships. But even then, I still tell them that great grades don't make great destinies. And when I tell them that, I tell them, look at my grades. I'm a straight A student. So when I tell you that great grades don't make great destinies, you will listen to me because I have this great, because there is something greater. Your destiny is greater than working at OPEC. Your destiny is greater than going to Harvard. It's using all that to show forth God's glory.
So you're trying to say that we really don't have to differentiate between a career and a calling. Like our career can really be, we can find our calling in our career. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, two things. You can find your calling in your career, and number two, you can have your career, a successful career, and still have your calling, or leverage on the successes you have in your career to make your calling worthwhile. So when I'm called to speak, when I'm called to share my experiences with people, I leverage on my career. I leverage on the successes that God has given me, and I use that to show what God can do. So in that sense, I think my calling is separate from my career, but I'm using the successes of my career to make my calling worthwhile. And it's possible that your calling might also mean not having a career and going to a village in South Sudan and preaching the gospel. It's possible, but then you need to ask God for direction in that regard. Number one, the mind. The mind is a very, very, very powerful tool. The Bible says in the book of Philippians 4:8 that whatever things are right, whatever things are excellent, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are admirable, whatever things are noble, whatever things are true, think on these things. Now, if you look at another version and you take those first words together, it means replant. REPLANT, right, excellent, pure, lovely, admirable, noble, true. And the thing is, our mind is probably one of the most important tools that we have. A lot of Christians, we think small. We tend to put God in a box. And I had a personal experience with that. I remember when I was applying for my MBA, for instance, I applied to Harvard Business School, and I just felt that Harvard, wow, I can't get in. But surprisingly, I got an interview. But instead of me to say that, oh wow, I got an interview, what did foolish me do? I said, oh my God, I don't feel worthy. I'm not going to do well. And that was one of the best interviews I had in my life, but I didn't get into Harvard Business School. And I realized that I had lost the battle even before getting into the school, because what I should have realized was the fact that for them to have invited me for an interview, that chance is 1%. So that's a big deal. Now getting an interview, it's easier. Getting into Harvard after an interview, it's easier before getting an interview at all. But I didn't think of that. I felt small in my eyes, and I lost out. and that experience, it's still etched in my mind that I should never think small. So when I was applying for my executive MBA at Kellogg, I was told that the average age should be 35. You should have like 10 years of experience, should be a manager work. At that point, I wasn't a manager, I was an officer. But I remember the mistake I made at Harvard, and I looked at them at the admissions panel, and I said that I have everything a manager has. I'm going to get promoted soon to become a manager. I'll be the youngest in the class. And I was the youngest ever that was selected. And after 1 year, I got promoted as a manager anyway. So I realized through that tough way that the mind is very, very important. And that's why the Bible says renewing our mind. So having a growth mindset, I'll put it as number 2. The world is changing fast. Now, who would ever think that ExxonMobil, a corporation that has massive oil wells and all that, who would ever think that Google would have a higher market capitalization, a company that sells data, compared to ExxonMobil? So that shows you how the world is changing. The world, what worked 10 years ago in the heydays of oil and gas, it's now all about data. So constantly stretching your mind, constantly having a growth mindset, knowing that you cannot stay in one position. God has called us to grow. It's really important. So I would say the mind, and also having a growth mindset. And
anything you want to achieve has to first be captured in your mind. If you cannot conceive it in your mind, it's impossible to see it. That's what you're saying.
Yes, and in fact, to add to that, anything that is created, anything physical that we can see, it is created 2 times. Number 1, it's created in spiritual realm, it's created in your mind. And number 2, that conceptualization of the mind and spirit breaks it in the physical. Anything at all, it's created 2 times. And it's important to remember that.
Yeah, it's important. I mean, this experience you had with the interview with the business schools, I think it just shows the importance of framing, right? The importance of framing and how that affects our mindset. Someone said, if you're going for a job interview, you can go in with the frame of, I'm trying to get a job. Or you can go in with the frame of, I am selling a service. And simply changing, I mean, even though the difference may seem very trivial, getting a job, selling my service, same difference, right? But if you change your frame like that, it literally changes your hormonal response. Like, I'm the one offering a service here that the company needs. I'm not trying to get a job from them. I'm offering them a service that would benefit their company and move them forward towards their goal and towards the achievement of their mission and vision for their company. When you're invited to an interview by Harvard Business School, they invited you not because they like your face. They invited you because they saw something in your application, something in you that could add to their business school, that could add to the, let's say, the diversity, the level of engagement in their classroom. That was why they invited you for the interview. It's because they saw something in you that would benefit them on the long run.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. And since then, I've stopped thinking in small terms, and I'm also careful of those I share my dreams with. That's also really important, But I agree with you. Framing is extremely important.
Let's move on. One of the challenges that we young adults face is this feeling of being behind, especially if you're gifted, if you're talented, if you've had such a, most of us when we were growing up, everybody told us we were smart, Even when there's no proof of it. Everybody told us we were smart and gifted and we're the next big thing. But anyway, so when we've grown up in that kind of environment, and some people are really gifted and their gifting has been borne out by certain achievements, and some people are pushful, they're driven and all these things. Yet sometimes we still feel like, with all this gift and all these talents, I should be further ahead than where I am today. I should, I'm capable of doing more. It could be in one's career, it could be financially, it could be relational, right? But for some reason, we're not just there. How do you deal with this emotion and this feeling of being behind or feeling like you are behind?
Yeah, no, thanks. That's very key. It happens to me too, and unfortunately, social media has made it even worse. you know, you're minding your business, and then someone that you knew, just a feed comes up that, oh, he's now the CEO of this company, or is Forbes 30 under 30. I look at yourself that we went to school together. I was even smarter than him. I've not achieved anything. The social media has made it worse. So how to deal with that feeling? The feelings will come, but understanding that our journeys in life are totally different. It's very, very important. We have a saying in my mother tongue, which is called Yoruba, that says that Onokon Waja. So what it means is there are many paths that lead into the market. And if I'm going to interpret that, it means that success can be achieved in different points and in different paths. So how do I deal with that feeling? What I do, number one, is I trust the process. I understand that I may not be where I want to be, but I am not where I was. And most times in life, we forget that part of I'm not where I was. What we just focused on is I'm not where I want to be. So when that happens to me, I feel down that, oh, I should maybe have done more. I should have started this now, and but then I take a moment to cast my mind back and think of what God has done for me, and I realize that I'm not where I was. I'm not where I was in the last year. I'm not where I was in the past 2 years, and I just trust the process. I just trust God that I'm sure things will work out in their own time. Now, the mistake that a lot of Christians make is saying that things work out in their own time, and then you fold your hands that things work out in their own time. No, just keep on pressing towards the goal. Keep on striving. Keep on working hard. When I was applying for a job in the UK, I applied to over 100 companies. I kept on applying. I got rejections.
Did you say over 100?
Over 100 companies. Yeah.
Wow.
Over 100 companies. I kept on applying. I kept on getting rejections. I kept on applying. I got rejections. At the end, I got 3 interviews. One with Siemens, one with British Petroleum, one with GlaxoSmithKline, and I picked GSK because I came first. Simple. That's just the truth. But I did not let the rejections stop me. So I kept on applying. So as Christians, as young people, as believers, discouragement will come. There will be times that you feel that nothing is working. The mistake that you can make is to stop and fold your hands. No, trust the process, trust in God, but keep on applying, keep on pushing, keep on practicing, and the big day will come.
Sounds to me like what you're inferring there is that, having an attitude of gratitude is important.
Yep.
That, someone said that most of us look at where we want to get to, where we're trying to go, and we see the distance. So we're still very far away, but we forget to look back at where we're coming from. And usually where we're coming from is much farther away than where we're trying to get to.
Yeah.
So having that perspective and having an attitude of gratitude seems to me like what you're saying is really the key here of really handling this feeling of being behind.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. You framed it correctly. Yes, having an attitude of gratitude, thanking God for what He's done for you in the past, realizing the battles you've won, and while still hoping for the future. Yeah.
Yeah, and not stopping. Don't say, oh, everything will work out, and then what will be. No, you make what will be.
No. And again, checking the requirements of the position. And there are times that that for me to get into one of the MBBs, for instance, for me to work at McKinsey or Bain or BCG, I need either a PhD from a top list or MBA or MPA from a top university. You won't fold your arms and say, I have a bachelor's degree. It's going to be okay. It's not going to be okay. That's deception. You try to tick all the boxes and then you thank God for what you've had in the past, but then you keep applying, but keep on growing. It's really important. Yeah.
Yes.
How do we go about getting mentors? I'll start with that. Number one, you reach out to people that are either in the field or in the area that you aspire to be, or that have the qualities that you aspire to have. I'll say that again. You reach out to people that are already experts in the field that you aspire to be in, or You reach out to those that have the qualities that you don't have, that you aspire to, that you aspire to have. And you can see there's a lot in Silicon Valley. So most of the successful startups, tech startups that have started, they were really mentored by tech entrepreneurs that had already successfully exited companies a whole lot. You can see that with Google, for instance. You can see that with Facebook. You always had an angel investor, a venture capitalist that believed in them and gave them the required seed funding for them to put their idea into fruition. So what young people can do is you reach out to people. When I was leaving university, I was clueless. I didn't know what I wanted to do in my life. I had good grades, but I had no direction. But I just felt that there's someone that I know. His name is Daniel Miemoletimo. And I reached out to him and I said that this guy is doing well. He seems to have something that I would love to have. And I sent him a message that, can you please mentor me in this area? And it was driven by me. I had regular calls with him every month. And that really helped my life a whole lot. I also remembered when I was also in the UK, I did the same thing. Even my decision to go to business school was born out of mentorship. So my mentor is a senior colleague at work. He is a finance professional, worked with the World Bank for several years. And I looked at him and I said, I want to understand this finance concept that you speak of. And I said, well, you need to go to business school, and I took that up, and that has changed my life a whole lot. So I think that what young people can do, you reach out to people that you believe can help or support you, and then you drive the process. You tell them what you want, and that's it. That's it.
Yeah. So some people would look in their immediate vicinity and say, well, I don't have access to a finance professional. I live in Ile-Ife, Nigeria. I don't have access to someone who works in the C-suite of a company, or I don't see anyone in my immediate vicinity that looks like what I want to be in the next 5-10 years. What do you say to such people?
Very simple. Use LinkedIn. Use LinkedIn. So I currently have 3 mentees that I've been mentoring for the past 7 years, and I have never met them before. Never. They reached out to me on LinkedIn, and then they were just leaving university. They said, oh, you seem to have what you would like to have. I want to apply to graduate school. And I obliged. I said, yes, send me a CV. We can talk about it. And I had regular calls with them. They checked up on me. And now one of them is doing his PhD. He got a scholarship to study in South Africa. He got a scholarship for his PhD in the United States. He's in Canada now. He's doing well. There was another one that reached out to me. I went to University of Lagos. He's been applying for, it was at that stage, he was applying for a lot of scholarships. He just searched for me on LinkedIn, and I obliged him. And he has been my mentee since then, So I think use LinkedIn. Now, a caveat will be the fact that you can reach out to 10 people and maybe none of them will reply. You can reach out to 12 people and maybe only one will reply. And that's very important. So don't get discouraged. I think use LinkedIn, try to research, send an email, and you'll be amazed how much people are willing to help, really. So I don't think that's a barrier.
Yeah. And someone also said that when the student is ready, the teacher will show up.
Yeah.
Usually people who make such excuses of, oh, I don't see anybody in my vicinity, they're not really striving towards what they want to be. They're not making efforts on a daily basis. Sending 10 LinkedIn messages or 20 LinkedIn messages, that's work. You put in the work, because you can't just send generic messages. If you send copy and paste messages too, that would not get as much response as you might want. You have to really, know who you're trying to communicate with, what you're trying to connect with them. And usually also something you can, deliver is not always ask. So you have to contextualize those messages. And in the context for each message will be different. And that's work. And so the willingness to put in the work, the willingness to really do the day-to-day grind is what I think is missing when people make those excuses of, I don't see anybody in my vicinity that looks like what I want to be. And I also think that sometimes it could be that People are just looking down on the people and on the resources God has placed in their immediate vicinity.
You're correct.
They have this larger than life idea, and it's not really grounded in anything. So they're really looking down at people in their churches. They're looking down at people they meet at work, and yet those people might have resources and connections that would be the link to their next level.
I agree with you. And a saying for that is, I was listening to a video and it said that in life you start from where you are. Start with your hands trembling, start being unsure, start being scared, but make sure you start. So yes, I totally agree with you.
Perhaps one of the highest points in your career was when you were selected as part of the One Young World campaign to address about 1,300 youth from 196 countries. We were chosen to select to address them on the role of youth in transparency and integrity in the energy sector. Can you tell us about that experience? Because I know, or any other high points in your career.
So I'll give the floor to Paul now. Please give him a big hand.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. A very good afternoon to you all. Oil and gas apparently accounts for 75% of Nigeria's economy. I say apparently because we don't really know what happens to all the money. Over $12 billion every year is not accounted for across the whole supply chain, from the government and even down to the community. In oil-rich Nigeria, currently, unemployment is high, and over 60% of the population live in poverty, and not just poverty, but also energy poverty. It is unacceptable, I believe, that in a resource and energy-rich country like Nigeria, most still suffer from power cuts and an inadequate electricity infrastructure. I remember as a young boy, I used to study with the kerosene lantern every night so I could achieve my dreams of becoming an engineer.
You know, indeed, that was one of the highest points in my career. And looking back now, I still have goose pimples, you know. So I was selected based on my track record, and something I would like to talk about here. It's the principle of leveraging. So leveraging in finance is when you use debt, for instance, to increase the asset size of a company. But in real life, what that means is what you have, you set it as a foundation and you build on it. Then what you've built on, you build on it again. So why am I saying this? When I was in the United Kingdom, I volunteered a lot. So when I was searching for a job then, I realized I didn't have work experience anywhere apart from in Nigeria, and I wanted to match. I wanted to show that I had work experience in the United Kingdom, so I volunteered. I saw a position on the internet, and the position was for a role of United Kingdom Youth Ambassador at one campaign. It's an NGO financed by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. It sounded nice, United Kingdom Youth Ambassador. I said, I will apply, and I got it. And we're lobbying members of parliaments and stuff. So that got into my CV. And 2 years after, when I left, when I relocated to Austria, I saw that my organization was sponsoring an event called One Young World, and it was held at Thailand that year. And I saw an application online that we're looking for delegate speakers. So I applied, but then why I was selected was it was easy to say that, oh wow, this guy had been the United Kingdom Youth Ambassador as for one campaign, as now an ambassador for One Young World, and he has worked on energy and transparency in Nigeria. You can come and talk to us. So if I did not volunteer, 2 years passed in the United Kingdom, even when I didn't know that another opportunity to present itself in the future, I would not have gotten the position. So leveraging, I would say that young people should take opportunities and get themselves out of their comfort zones, even if they are not sure of the immediate payback. It's a payback in the future. So going back to the experience itself, I spoke in front of 1,300 youths from 196 countries. I was introduced by an expert in the field. I was on some stage with the president of Mauritius, with late Kofi Annan, United Nations Secretary General, and that experience made me realize that anything is possible. This young Ibadan boy, God can take anybody anywhere to go on a world stage and speak in front of hundreds of thousands of people. So that struck me. So, but leveraging. Number one, you can't really lead if you have not learned to follow. And I said that with a lot of young people, entrepreneurship, startups. The average age of a successful entrepreneur, if you can guess, it's 42. So the outliers are Mark Zuckerberg and Sergey Brin and Larry Page of Google, Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook. Those are outliers. The successful entrepreneurs are actually in their early 40s, and they've learned to follow. They've built businesses in the past that didn't work out. So taking that analogy to leadership, you cannot really be a good leader if you have not learned to follow. That's number one. Now, number two, you cannot be a leader if you don't have vision. So vision is a clear path on understanding that this is the end goal. In business, we call it strategy, strategy. And what business strategy means is, how can I maintain high profits consistently in the midst of competition? And that is it. That's strategy, and that's leadership. Vision, having vision, understanding that this is where I want to be. This is the idea of what the rhetoric is. And number three, you cannot be a leader if nobody's following you. So number one, as a leader, you need to follow. You understand how to follow. Number two, you need to have vision. And number three, you need to inspire people to follow your vision. So, and how do you inspire people? They need to trust you. What everyone says is nobody cares how much you know unless they know how much you care. Look at Barack Obama, for instance. It inspires trust. A lot of young Black people look at him and say, "I want to be like that man." He has not forced anyone. He has not been in the houses of a lot of people. But yet to look at him and say he's a leader. Why? Because he has inspired trust based on his life. So I'll sum it up by saying, number one, as a leader, you have to, of course, know how to follow. You have to have tried and failed. Number two, you need a clear vision. You need to understand where you want to go. And number three, you have to inspire trust in people so they can follow you. Thank you.
Well, another high point in your life is coming up next month. You are getting married. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
How are you feeling about that? And how are you feeling about going back to Nigeria, given the current social and political climate of the country?
How do I feel about getting married? I'm excited and also very reflective. Reflective because I feel that it's a new phase in my life, and I just can't be not responsible. Now, I'm not putting pressure upon myself, as aware that I just want to make sure that my children, my partner, they look up to me as a man that they would love to call husband and daddy respectively. And I know that God will help me. Nobody knows what the future holds, but I know that it's going to be perfect by God's grace. So regarding how do I feel about getting married, I'm excited. Now, going back to Nigeria, looking at the current social and political situation in the country, that part I'm not very happy about because
do you plan on hiring bodyguards?
I've been offered, I've been offered that.
Really, police escort.
Yeah, the police escorts will meet me at the airport and all that. But I think what I'll do is I'll try to dress as simply as possible. I'll wear my traditional wear and sandal and just blend in. At least I'm a Niger guy now. So
right.
So I'm looking forward to going to Nigeria actually. Yeah.
When was the last time you visited Nigeria? That must have been 2018?
2018, yes, when we met in Lagos. Yes, 2018, 2 years ago. My fiancée has not been to Nigeria in 6 years, so it's going to be more of a
wow.
Yeah, she's the visitor, and I'll be
she's going to be shocked and maybe disappointed too.
Yes, actually, she's going to be. I've been trying to tell her to temper her expectations down a little bit. But
If you have high expectations, I'm sorry, I'm not bashing it, but it's just the reality, you know.
yeah, no, it is. But again, it's still home, and
Right.
I'm still always proud to be a Niger for life. I honestly did not take it very well. I was crushed. I was shocked. I just could not believe that a government will shoot its citizens, youths. I was really shocked. I was really shocked. And in my own little way, what I did was I was canvassing on the internet, on my Facebook. We go there now. It's always Endsars for the past couple of months when they started. So I was really broken. I was battered, and I was thinking of the victims and those that were killed. It could have been anybody. It could have been anybody. They are young Nigerians like me. They have hopes. They have visions. They have family members. They have partners. And just because the government that is going to protect them was not able to do so, and they were protesting, they were shot and killed. You don't do that. I was really crushed, and my heart bleeds for my country. My heart really bleeds for my country. I feel very sad. I still feel so. That's why I'm using it in the present tense, because you just don't do that. It doesn't happen anywhere. And those were protesters that were holding the flags. They were sitting down. Oh, come on. It could have been anybody. So I was shocked. Another point, I almost lost hope. So what I will say to young people is, we can't give up. We can't. It might be easy to say that, oh, but you're outside the country. Well, circumstances brought me outside the country, but in my own little way, what I can do to support, I will. But we cannot stop trying. It's really, it's shocking. I've still not recovered from it.
Yeah, same here. So someone might look at you and say, well, look at him. This is an example of the brain drain that, has been going on in Nigeria for so long. All our smartest people, they leave the shores of Nigeria and go to Europe and come to America to do great things. At what point in your career do you start thinking about, going back to Nigeria to contribute something substantive to either the economy or in the political landscape, or even as a bureaucrat or things like that? Are you thinking of that at all?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, because no matter how long you stay outside the country, you get foreign passports and all that, still a Nigerian. So yes, I'm looking at that, and I'm looking at doing that by God's grace in the next, maybe not in the next few years, but in the next couple of years, and that will be when I feel that I've gotten enough skills that I can leverage on and apply to the Nigerian context. And the reason why I'm not keen on going back to Nigeria now as a young professional will be the fact that I have a lot of opportunities in Europe. I have a lot of opportunities in the US. Why not soak that in? Learn how developed countries have maximized technology. Learn the policies that have worked in North America, and understand where the gaps are in Nigeria, and then apply them. So what I'm doing now is just soaking myself into the process, soaking myself into technology, building contacts as a way through business school. I have a network of a lot of young people around the world that are doing a lot of things. Now, the mistake that I think a lot of young people, young Nigerians living in the diaspora, is they cut off their Nigerian ties. And I like to tell everybody not to do that. There are lots of Nigerians doing amazing things. If you look at Stripe, for instance, acquired Paystack, a Nigerian startup for millions of dollars. I have friends that were in the UK together. They started some company, Kudi.ai, is backed by Y Combinator in the US. I have friends in energy. So I keep up tabs with what's going on in the country. I try to travel to Nigeria as often as possible, because these are the young generation of people that will shape the country. And I have told them that I'm ready to come back to leverage on the skills I've learned as a technocrat. Not all of us are going to be politicians. I don't have a single bone of politics in my body, but I know that I can
You're
leverage.
diplomatic. You've
Well,
so you can convert those to political.
that's true. You never know. You never know. You never know. But the vision I have for myself is someone like Okonjo Iweala,
Right.
who will come in as a technocrat and help shape policies. So I keep tabs of what's going on in Nigeria. I'm not far away from the country at all, but I'm just in the process of soaking myself in and applying what I've learned. Because if I don't apply what I've learned to my country, then what's the use? So that's what I'm doing. Yeah.
Good.
Well, I really don't know when we can expect a resolution to that. What I would say is I was surprised, saying that the US is blocking her nomination to WTO, especially when she clearly won, and her main counterpart even stepped down and said that she should be given the position. But again, it just shows that there are a lot of political interplays in the world that is bigger than us, and every country fights for its own interest as well. So maybe once the next administration in the US comes in, that impasse will be broken as well. But then the mere fact that there is that impasse already currently, it shows us that the world is not balanced. Obviously, a lot of countries have more weight than others.
Right.
And life. So we as Africans, we as Black people should understand that we should also come together and make sure that our voice is heard. We should come together and make sure that no single superpower will be able to block us when someone from amongst us is ranked as the best in something. Look at what happened with Akin addition of African Development Bank.
Yes, that one too. Yeah.
It was similar, but then the Africans came together and said that this Akin addition has not done anything wrong and was able to win. So we all need to come together with one voice. Yeah. It's simple. I'll tell him to listen to the young people. Because I've been told. I remembered when I was in primary school, all the teachers told me, "Oh, you are the leaders of tomorrow. You are the leaders of tomorrow." I was 7 years old then. Now I'm 30, and still you are the leaders of tomorrow. When is tomorrow going to come? We are not leaders yet. We are recycling the same people in power. So I'll tell him would be to listen to the young people. Let their voices be heard. Let their voices be heard. They are talking about things that are paining them. All the older generation will leave at a particular point in time, and if the nation is already spoiled and there's nothing left for them, we are the ones that will suffer. So I'll tell them to please at least listen to the young people. Let them bring them to the drawing board. Okay, what are the problems? How do you want us to solve it? And understanding that life is finite. We're all going to live here at a particular point in time. And what's the legacy that we're going to leave behind? It's you can't hold on to power forever. And once we're dead and gone, what is it that people say about us? So yeah, I'll tell him to listen to young people. Yeah, three things. It's probably cliche. Number one, believe in God. Really, I look back at my life and I've been very blessed. Yes, I've worked really hard, but there are opportunities that have come to me that probably I sometimes feel that wow, how did this happen? So believe in God. Most times there are times in life that you need a power that is bigger than yourself to get things sorted out, and it's important to realize that. So that's number one, believe in God. Number two, believe in yourself. Taking us back to what I talked about the mind, it's very important to be confident, not overconfident now, but to understand that people are doing this and they don't have two heads. So why can't I do that? So believe in yourself. Don't sell yourself short. Keep on growing. And number three, believe in the power of your dreams. I believe that anyone that can't dream, it's the person's already dead while living. Everything that you can see now started. Bill Gates, what he said was that, he wants a Microsoft computer at every house in the world. Tell me, has it not happened? It has. Martin Luther King several years ago said, I have a dream. I have a dream. I have a dream. He didn't live to see the dream, but Barack Obama was a fulfillment of that dream. So a lot of things happen in life where if you don't have a dream, if you don't have a perception of where you want to be, it's very important. But not just to have the dream, but to believe. Just like I told my parents when I was young, when we didn't have anything, and when I had not even seen an airplane before, and I told them I'll be walking everywhere around the world, and it's coming to pass. So believe in God, believe in yourself, and believe in the power of your dreams.
Great. Is there any other thing on your mind that you want to let out so that our audience can benefit from this?
Really, there's nothing. I would just say that it's amazing that you have this channel, and thank you very much for inviting me. It's an honor, and I'm very grateful for that. And I pray that you keep on walking in purpose. Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you very much for joining us on today's show, Mr. Sasaenia or Paul Oluwabunmi. This has been a great conversation, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Akin. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye.